Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. So in September 2020, my husband and my kids and I and our two fur balls, we moved across the country, picked up our whole life, and brought it over to the Sunshine Coast in BC because we were from Ontario, and that's where I lived my whole life. And I have never felt so at home than I ever have in my life that I do now. Like it feels like I've always lived here. And it actually, even that moment, like it just felt like coming home. And in fact, actually, I knew, like I never visited BC until I was so British Columbia, until I came here to look for homes, for a house, like house hunting or house searching. But I did go to San Francisco, and when I landed, like when the plane was landing, I felt like I was at home. Like it's the ocean, the mountains, there's just something about them that was like, felt just right. And I can't get over the fact of how I feel. And as a recovering people pleaser, it took me a long time to get to this where I am doing something for me, something that feels right to me instead of doing something that I felt would be right for other people in my life. And it's so freeing. And it took me a long time to get to this place. It was little by little, like I say, about everything. It's like about baby steps. And it was just the big one is just starting my self-love journey, and just like little by little, the pieces, if you've heard the Golden Buddha story, it's like the clay is coming off. And just like little by little, the real, true, authentic me, Jody, was coming through and shining brighter and brighter and brighter. And it's been a very beautiful journey so far. And it doesn't mean that I don't have any more clay to chip off. And it doesn't mean that I don't fall into people-pleasing mode sometimes, because it happens, with everything. But the thing is, little by little, I really got to get to know me. One of the biggest things that helped me was figuring out what I didn't want anymore, and knowing that I didn't want to live in a big city anymore, and then what I wanted was being near water. And, little by little, I put together what I truly wanted. Now, when I talk about coming home, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a physical place either, right? Like I just feel like I'm living my trueness, my authenticness. I'm showing up as me. I'm meeting new friends and people here, not as much as I'd like to because things are a little restricted still, but I am showing up. And when I hang out with people, I am me. I'm not fake Jody. I'm not putting on some kind of persona. I am showing up. And that alone feels like home. Like everybody I meet, it's such a beautiful thing. I want that for everybody. I want everybody to feel at home. And I don't mean it has to be a place, but feel at home with themselves. I think I feel at home here because I'm finally living my truth. I am finally showing up as me. I am finally saying yes to things because I love it. Yes to moving to the coast because water and mountains just give me so much energy. And I'm going to be honest with you, every night before we close the drapes, before it gets dark, I say goodnight to the mountains, because I am forever grateful that I've been able to do this, that my husband has a job that he can work from home, that I do too, and that my kids were, it's just been a beautiful thing that we all were on the same adventure, going in the same direction, that my husband was open to the possibilities of moving and doing it with me. I am forever grateful that I've been able to do this, because it took so many years to say yes to what I really want, and to even allow myself to dream about what I really want, and just, listening to my heart. And my heart smiles because I've listened to it. And it's just this incredible thing. And I might sound total wacko right now, but it's the truth. I am so incredibly grateful that I listened to my heart instead of my head, where it's like, well, what are they going to think of you? And, Or what about if they're mad at you? And like all these voices that we have, like I had them too in the moving process. And I share about this in other episodes. It was a real struggle for me. I still, in the process of moving, had a hard time. We moved into the house that I saw, like I saw 19 homes when I visited before buying, and I saw 19. And the second one I saw, like that's the house we're in right now. It was always on my top, but I couldn't say yes to that house because then saying yes meant that we were for sure moving here. And I had this fear, like there was still fear, so much fear. But once I allowed that, like once like I let love lead the way, when I let love lead instead of fear, it was this incredible opening. But like, so feeling at home isn't necessarily, like I said, a place. It has definitely helped me because now I'm really truly getting to be the person I want to be, where I'm walking along the beach, like whenever I want. You know, after I'm done here recording the podcast, I want to go out and about and maybe go near the water and kayaking, paddleboarding, and things like that. I have that freedom now where I didn't really feel like I had that freedom before. I get to freely live how I want to. But the other thing is, it's just being free to be me. So when I say coming home, I mean living in your skin, living in your, like you're living your life on your terms, as you, showing up as you, like authentically. And like I said, like I used to be a people pleaser, like crazy, like, so I'm definitely a recovering one. So, you know, like it's definitely something I have to always be mindful of. Not always, but sometimes, like I do check-ins, right? It's like, am I showing up as me, or am I showing up the way I think people want me to show up? But that's what I mean. Like coming home means living life on your terms, living and just enjoying your life, doing what you were meant to do, showing up and being true to you. You know, just not wearing a mask, not putting on personas, coming home and living life the way you're meant to live it. And maybe you don't even know what that means yet. So finding your way back home, deep down, you know, but maybe you don't. Like the world can throw things. So before, like when we're born and when we're really little, we know what we want. We know, we just know what we want. You know, we don't have all these other people's beliefs, all these people's thoughts in our head. We know, like if you look at a toddler, when they want something, they go for it. They're determined. They're not like, oh, but what will my mommy think? Or no one's going to love me if I do this. They don't have that. They just do it. They know what they want and they go after it. Deep down, you know what you want too. And it's just little by little figuring out what that is. So for me, it definitely has been, it's been a process. Like I remember it definitely started when I was really, my deep healing began when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I was going through the course to become an empowerment coach, a master empowerment coach. And that the healing I did throughout that course and what I do with my clients was really definitely the starting point. And then it just opened the floodgates to doing more and more and, you know, just doing things. And then the more I loved myself, the more I created a deeper loving relationship with myself, the more I could listen to myself instead of others. And it's this really beautiful thing. So if you've been a people pleaser like I have been, or maybe you're still, no shame, no guilt, no nothing. That's just where you're at, right? Just being mindful and aware of where you're at. Just being aware. But if you're there, sometimes we don't even know what we want because we're so busy giving everybody else what they want. And even as a parent, like I have to be very careful. It's like, you know, actually not so much like really, if I'm being honest, like I usually do things from my heart. Like it's like, well, I want to do this for them because I love them kind of thing. Not because I feel like I should, but because I want to. And it's like, it's really, the more you understand who you are, the more you can do things from a place of love and from your authentic self. And it's really, really beautiful. So the more you do it, the more you can open your eyes to the things that you don't want, and it will help you find what you do want. You'll just kind of do, you know, a little bit of healing, a little bit of self-love and discovery, and little by little, you get to really discover what it is you truly want. And as you walk, you get to keep, learning more about yourself, saying yes to things that you really love and setting healthy boundaries and maybe doing a little bit more healing here. And yes, I feel like I'm finally home physically and just like mentally and just like authentically. And it is so beautiful. And like I said, I want that for everybody. And I'm sure I'll have days where I still fall into people pleasing or that I do something for somebody else because I don't want to hurt their feelings. However, because I've been on this so long, I'm more aware of it. So I can usually like catch myself, or it won't go on as long. But it doesn't mean that I don't still journal and meditate and really connect myself, because over this past year, like I haven't used the tools as much as I used to. When I was in the deepness of emotions and healing and things, I've kind of, forgot about them sometimes, or, life happens, right? So I'm constantly discovering new things about myself. But that feeling of home is really a beautiful thing. So if you feel a little lost or you're just not sure, just try to look within. Think about areas of your life that you love. Send it more love that way. Maybe do more of those things. And if there's something that's really bothering you in your life, look at that too and be like, well, what bothers me about it so much? Or what would I like instead of that? So for example, for me, like a big turning point, I think I've shared this on one of the other episodes, was when we were still in Waterloo, Ontario. It was the one winter really was when we were like, we're done with this. And it was the one, we lived beside a high school, and it was not a big deal because it was a parking lot for the teachers. And, we didn't really get any noise or anything. There wasn't much, except every so often there'd be a dance and we'd hear the music, or I'd feel the music. But then the one winter that made us realize we had to move, is the snow plow would come at like between 1 and 3 in the morning. Like I'd just either have fallen asleep or I was in the middle of a deep sleep. And then it would take an hour or more to plow. And it wasn't a big deal if it was further away because I wouldn't hear it. But it would come back and drop the plow head again right below our window. So I would be up for an hour, or I'd be up for a minute or two, or 10, 15 minutes. And if I fell back asleep, then I'd wake up again in like an hour again from the snowplow. Well, this was happening quite a bit because we were getting quite a bit of snow that year. And I was a mess mentally, physically, because I wasn't sleeping. So sleep is crazy. And I think I feel like I probably talked about this in an episode already. If I didn't, it was on when I was doing a podcast with my husband, the His and Her show. But if I didn't, maybe I will later. But sleep is super, super important. So I was eating more sugary things, carbohydrates, and all that fun stuff, like all the processed sugars and flours and Anyway, so I was doing a mental thing though. Like I was feeling exhausted physically, mentally, and then it was just a whole pile of mess. I was having breakdowns because I just wasn't feeling myself. My husband was a mess because he saw me and he didn't like seeing me like that. And then like we just had conversations where it's like we knew we had to move from that location. It wasn't necessarily out of the city, but I'm like, well, if we're moving, we might as well move. Like we bought that house thinking we'd live there for at least, 10, 15, 20 years. But we changed in those years. But I knew I wanted to live somewhere smaller. And then it became like, well, I want to live near water. And then, just you keep thinking about what you want. But sometimes to get home, you need to be so uncomfortable with where you are that you finally look for things that you do want. But if you just don't feel like life, that you're living your true authentic self, it's just about looking inward and be like, well, what can I do to really be me? What is it that I do love doing? For me, the big point for me was water. I love water. We would drive, before our move, we drove an hour and a half to a nice beach. Luckily, my grandma had like a cottage on a little man-made lake. I was about 25 minutes away, so I could fill my bucket little by little there, but to like really enjoy like a nice sandy beach, we were driving about an hour and a half, and it would fill me up. But then the drive home would like almost completely undo all the filling up that I did. So, because the kids would be like, either fighting or unhappy or, just we have to rush home to get to school, all that fun stuff. So figuring out what you want takes baby steps too, especially if you've been like me, where you put other people's wants, needs first, or you're letting other people's thoughts about life, run your life. And there's no shame or blame or anything like that. It's just being aware of where you're sitting. Are you happy with where you're sitting? Or, do you want to change it up a little bit? Coming home can look in so many different ways. I literally did it physically and mentally. I can't believe that it's been less than a year that we moved here, because it feels like I literally have been here forever. Like I talk to people, and when I bring it up that we just moved, it's always felt like home to me. So it's always, it's just been an incredible experience. So if there's been something that's been bothering you, or an area of your life that's, you really want something and you just haven't done it yet, I'm not saying go out and jump and do it, but look at different creative and fun ways of taking baby steps to get there. Our move didn't happen overnight. It did move really quickly though. Once we decided, it did. It's in another episode. I'm not sure what it's called, but I've definitely talked about the process and how quickly it happened. It was less than a year in between like deciding and moving. So things can happen really quickly when it's backed with love instead of fear, and when it's backed with like inspiration and wow and awe and all the good feeling emotions. Things can move really, really quickly. Especially when it's backed with love and good intentions and just inspiration and motivation. And my why was pretty darn big. So all those things combined move things forward quite a bit. So if you feel like you still need to come home, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a physical place, it can just be a thing. Just try one every day to just get yourself to know yourself a little bit. Not even every day if that seems too much. Baby steps, little by little. Get to know the real, authentic you. Peel back the layers. Get to know yourself, and that might mean just go for a walk for yourself here and there. Journal, little by little. Even connecting with a coach like myself. Whatever kind of support you need. It might be on your own, or it might be with a supportive team, a friend, any of those things. Like there's so many different ways of finding your way back home. But here's the most important part. Even with you could have a coach like myself, but it's you that holds the compass within. You have everything within you already to get there. A coach like myself or anybody else, I'm not just saying me, but anybody can help you strengthen your tools, strengthen your help you, along the way, support you. But you already have everything within you to find your way back home, and whatever that is to you. And that doesn't mean when I say I came home, I've come home. And it doesn't mean I won't get lost now and then, for sure. But at least now I know what home feels like. So maybe you felt like what home was. Before you were 2 and before the world, told you what you should have, could have, what you should do, what you have to do, and all this stuff. You did know before. That compass is still within you. And now with me too. If I get lost again, that compass isn't so deeply buried anymore. It's near the surface. It can be found again. Same with you. That compass can be found. You can find your way back home, whatever that is for you. I hope you have the most beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.